Hi everybody, this is Maureen Wong, and today I'm going to be making this card from start to finish. On the outside it says surprise, and you see part of the image, and then when you open it up the whole image is revealed and you have sweet birthday wishes. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to be using a lot of My Favorite Things products for this card. I just wanted to let you know that I am not affiliated, I'm just a big fan, and I just decided to do this card all on my own. This is the Sweet Birthday Wishes set from Bertie Brown, which I love, and I am using this double stitch circle from Dynamics Blueprints number 12. For this front panel, I'm using brown paper bag cardstock, which is actually more of a heavy paper weight. And I've cut it out with a die from the Blueprints number 13 and adhered it to my A2 top folding card base. And now what I'm going to do is center my circle die on it, well, centered sort of. This is the MFT sketch number 222 that I'm following. And I'm going to use my rule of thirds template. This is the one that's separated into thirds, and everywhere there's an intersection is a sweet spot, which when you put things on the sweet spot, they're supposed to be more pleasing to the eye. But anyway, I'm just using this instead of my centering template because I think it's going to be easier with more lines to properly center that circle how I want it. So here I am counting the grids on either side to make sure that it's centered, and then I'm eyeballing top to bottom where I want it, and that's where I want it. So I'm going to tape it down and run it through my die cut machine, and then I will be right back. So I cut it out, and you can see that it goes all the way through the front of the card, and you can save that little piece for later. And now what I'm going to do is show you the Misty tip of the day for stamping into window cards. Normally when you stamp a window card, you have this small area and you have a small image, and you just take the small image, center it in your window, and stamp it down, and that's really easy to do. But when you have a large image that is bigger than the size of the window, that's where the Misty comes in. You could kind of try and eyeball it and stick it where you want it to go, and then sort of make marks inside where you want it to stamp. But that's kind of difficult. With the Misty, though, it makes it really easy. You just line up whatever portion you want in the window, and actually I'm going to get a grid here to make sure that she stands straight because I always position her crooked. And I'm going to center the part that I want in the window and then pick her up with the Misty cover and then open up the card and stamp her on the inside. And I'm using Memento ink because it is quick drying. I'm not going to be coloring with Copics though, but I do like that it's a quick drying ink. And there she goes, perfectly inside the window how I wanted her. And you can see how the full image is really nicely placed on the inside as well. For my coloring, I'm using Spectrum Noir colored pencils once again. For the skin, I'm using number 100, number 89, 8, 7, 4, and 1, which is white, and I will be cycling back through those. I believe I do 2 layers of using all the colors. Unfortunately, at this beginning part, I forgot her ears, so I will come back and do that on the second pass. And here is the second pass. That was the 100. And I'm going back, and now I figured out I missed her ear, so I'm kind of getting at her ear with the colors. Basically, I'm just blending, trying to deepen the shadows a little bit and blend everything together. And then I'm going to come in with a yellow. This is number 84 for the yellow cake of the cupcake. And then for the purples, I'm using 76 and 77. And I'm going to do her hair band and her dress and shoes in these purple colors. And please don't look too closely at my pleats. I'm still trying to learn how to do them. I have signed up for the class and have not yet tackled that part of the class. So I just do kind of whatever I want. So don't look too closely. At this point, I'm trying to deepen up the shadow, so I'm coming back in with the darker purple, but then I come in with black and accidentally drop it on my project, so I have to erase the line that I made, which is a great thing about colored pencils is that you can erase them. Sorry about that. My camera battery just died there, so I'm going to finish up now her shoes. And then I'm coming in with a couple of turquoise colors for the cupcake liner. These are 53 and 54. And by the way, the black that I used to make the little deeper shadows is called number 120. Now for the pinks of the frosting, I'm using 33 and 34. And then I'm also coming back in with white number 1 to blend out a little bit more of that color. And then I'm using the black 120 for her hair. Really quickly here, I forgot to ground her, so I'm just taking out a piece of gridded plastic to make a straight line, and I'm going to put in a straight line using the black, and it's really a stark straight line, so I'm going to kind of soften it up with a hand-drawn line and then make a little bit of shadowing around her feet, and that's how I ground my characters. At this point, I'm laying out all the elements that I want for my card, and I've cut 2 of these banners from Blueprints number 13 out of Wisteria cardstock, and I am going to cut them down to approximately the way they are in the sketch. So I'm placing the one on the left-hand side and holding it down, and then I'm going to take my scissors and just freehand cut that a little crooked, oops, and then I'm going to match it up with the other banner and cut it off at the same length, so I have 2 pieces that are exactly the same size. Alright, at this point I've decided that I'm going to stamp the word surprise on just the right hand side banner, and that's because the left hand side kind of covers up a little bit of the image, so I don't want to draw attention to that, but the right hand side banner is open, so I want to draw attention to that side. So I am using a grid bumper here to line up my sentiment just to make sure it's straight, and then I'm going to pick it up with the Misty cover and hold that little bit down with a magnet and stamp with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Now at this point I want to clean off my stamp because I want to put my Misty away, and I have this chamois towel that I just got. We've been talking about these towels over in the Mystified group on Facebook, and I got this particular one because it was just a little bit cheaper than some of the other ones, and I'm liking it so far, but I will keep using it and I will let you know what I think of it more. One thing I do think of it is that when I rub it against the stamp, it kind of tends to grab at it, so I have to rub a little more lightly than I used to do with the baby wipes. Then I'm just sticking it in my container. Oh, and I'm mentioning this isn't the full size, of course. I cut this down from the full size. I'm sticking it in my little container, but I'm making sure not to cover it tightly because I don't want it to get moldy. So I may put the cover on loosely, but I don't want to cover it up tightly for long periods of time. Okay, because MFT dies are solid, I'm going to cut and then stamp with them. So I've gone ahead and cut out the balloon twice, and I've kept one of the negatives. And I'm going to stick that negative in the corner, and then I'm going to get the matching balloon stamp and just eyeball the placement in the negative part of the die cut. Pick it up with my MISTI cover, then stick in the die cut, ink up with Memento, and stamp. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that again for the second one. Now, since I'm going to be coloring these both and they're a little small and fiddly, I've gotten out a piece of my sticky mat. That's the cut down Eclipse cutting mat that I've been using to hold things with, and I'll put a link to that in my blog as well. And now I'm going to be coloring them with a couple of the same pencils that I used before for my card. So once again, for the pinks, these are 33 and 34. And I got a little bit out of the line, so I went back and erased it. And then the turquoise are 53 and 54, and sorry I didn't zoom in sooner so you could see a little better shot of the coloring. Okay, now I'm ready to start adhering pieces to my card, and I'm taking my 2.5-inch bumper here to make a straight line, and I could use a smaller one, but it doesn't butt up against the side as well and make a nice square corner surface. So I'm using my 2.5-inch bumper, and I'm lining up the surprise where I want it, and then I'm going to put the other one down, and then they are perfectly lined up. As long as I don't move my bumper, they'll both be in the same line and put down straight as well. And I made a little mistake. I put some adhesive where it wasn't supposed to be, and that got stuck to the inside of my card. So you have to be careful when you're adhering these pieces around the opening that you don't put the adhesive inside the card and stick the whole thing together. So now I've got my balloons placed where I want them, and I cut a star, and I use Blueprints 13. I write the names, numbers of my blueprints on the different dies in case they get all mixed up. I know which sets they go back into. So I've also colored a little bit of the star with pencil so that it'll match the other colored elements on my card. And I'm trying really hard to put my ATG adhesive on just the portion that is going to be adhered to the outside of the card, but I did a little something wrong, so I have to fuss with it and fix it a little bit to make sure that I don't stick my card shut with it. And then that's placed how I want it, and I'm going to take the turquoise balloon and stick that down. And I'm not using any kind of adhesive on the strings because I'm going to bend them later on so that it actually looks like they're flying in the wind. And there's the finished card. Oops, except I got some adhesive sticking out, and that stuck my card together. So I'm just shoving it out of the way with my fingernail. And I had a couple of different spots of that. And actually one more thing is I need to stamp a sentiment on the inside. So I'm getting my MISTI back out. I'm going to stick my card in the corner, and then I'm going to get my A2 centering grid so that I can center my sentiment, which is Sweet Birthday Wishes, in the center of the card, and also make sure that it's straight. And when I get that to where I like it, I'm going to close the cover, pick it up, and then stamp it with the VersaFine ink. And basically that is the finished card. And thank you very much for watching.